In today's video, we're going to take a look at the brand new Friday the 13th Part 7 Ultimate Jason Voorhees figure from NECA. Welcome to the Swearwolves Horror Podcast YouTube channel. I'm Brett. If you're a returning subscriber, I just want to thank you for coming back. And if you're new to this channel, I want to thank you for stopping by. Please consider clicking both that subscribe button as well as that notification bell below. We upload videos on a somewhat regular basis in which we review anything and everything horror, from action figures and toys to soundtracks, video games, collectibles, you name it. And today we are taking a look at the brand new Friday the 13th Part 7 Ultimate Jason Voorhees. Now I'm very excited about this figure. I have been waiting for this figure since NECA first announced it, and I pre-ordered it. However, I still haven't gotten that pre-order, so I don't know what's going on with that. But I was at the store the other day. In fact, I was at Target. I believe Target and Walmart are now carrying these, and I saw they had 2 of these. So I picked up one, and I figure the one that I get for my pre-order, I'll just, I don't know, get autographed by Kane Hodder or something whenever I see him at a convention again. Now, Kane Hodder, first appearance as Jason Voorhees was in this movie, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. On the front of the box, we see that it says, on Friday the 13th, Jason is back, but this time, someone's waiting. Friday the 13th, The New Blood. We got this cool graphic right here. Shows Jason right there. And then that, of course, is Tina, the hero or heroine of Friday the 13th, Part 7. Side of the box, we have a picture, nice looking picture of Jason Voorhees right there with Friday the 13th, The New Blood on there. And then on the back, it says Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. There's a curse in these woods, Jason Voorhees' curse. They say he died as a boy, but he keeps coming back. Few have seen him and lived. Some have tried to stop him. No one can. He's out there, waiting. And then we got some cool shots of the figure right there. And I'm sure we'll see all of that more up close once we open the figure and take a look at it. But there's some of the shots for you. And then at the bottom, it says it includes interchangeable head, alternate mask, brush cutter, wood cutter, sickle, knife, tent stake, machete, and axe. Side of the box is the same as the other side of the box. And of course, as with all the Ultimate figures, we have a flap that opens. We'll open this up and we see the figure right there. We'll get to that in a second. And then there's a nice posed picture of Jason Voorhees right there. This is a gnarly looking Jason Voorhees. This is after, Part 6, he got thrown in the lake and left there to rot by Tommy Jarvis, of course. Part 7, he comes back and he's rotted, but he still looks pretty awesome. So one of my favorite looks for Jason, not necessarily one of my favorite movies of the Friday the 13th series, but definitely one of my favorite looks for Jason. So why don't we go ahead and get this figure opened up and we'll give it a review. All right, we got the figure open. Before we get to the figure itself, let's go ahead and talk about these accessories, and there's a lot to talk about. So I want to go through each one of the weapons that we get, the head, the alternate mask, the alternate hands. I want to go through all of these before we get to the figure itself. First up, we have an axe. Now this is just a simple axe, wood handled. It's got that metal kind of look on the top there, on the blade, with a little bit of blood stain that you can see just at the top. It just looks like it's maybe washed in red, so it gives it that blood stain look. So pretty good detail on that. I mean, as far as a toy axe is concerned, this looks pretty good. Next, we have this tent stake. Now, this is a long tent stake. I don't know if I've seen a tent stake this long in my life, but don't go camping quite a lot. Anyway, this tent stake just so happens to be coated in blood. Most of it right there. And this would be a weapon. Now, this looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like a tent stake. It's got that metal look to it with those little clips right there. Comes down to a point, the tip right there. So it does look pretty good. Next we have butcher knife. Jason's doing his best Michael Myers impersonation with this butcher knife. And this is pretty good. I mean, we got the rivets there in the handle, and the blade goes all the way through. This is a well-manufactured knife. And I like how it even has that bevel for the blade right there, so it looks like it's sharp. All in all, I like this knife. Next we have this sickle. Again, it's got the wooden handle with the rivets, and the metal goes all the way into that. And then the blade, of course, curves. I think this really looks good. Next up, of course, no Jason Voorhees is complete without his machete. And this is a good looking machete here. Not too long, not too outlandish. I know some of the machetes got a little long as the movies went on, especially like in the remake and in Freddy vs. Jason. But this is a good looking machete right here. And much like the butcher knife, it has that bevel for the blade. So it comes to like a sharpness. And then we have the rivets in the handle. There's the handle for you up close. So the machete looks really good. I really like the way that this particular machete looks. Jason does have a couple more unique implements of destruction on this. This is, of course, a brush cutter or a wood cutter. I think it's the brush cutter because I think the other one is the wood cutter. That would make sense. This is just a big old blade, sharp blade on a long handle that someone could just hack somebody up with. And of course, that's what Jason does. But all in all, it looks really good. You have the details on those different bolts that go through with the nuts. So that looks good right there, right where the blade is. The wooden handle has some grain detail in it. So that looks good. No blood stain. The only one that got blood stain was the axe and the tent stake. So I wonder why they didn't put blood on these things. Regardless, it doesn't matter. These look good. All right, so that's the brush cutter. Next, we'll go along to probably the most famous kill, or at least my favorite kill. One of my favorite kills, I think, in the movie. There's the person in the sleeping bag. Also, that is a good kill.
Okay, you big hunk of a man, come and get me. Dan? Dan, what are you doing?
This is a really good kill with this wood cutter here. And this is basically just a circular saw on a long kind of weed whacker body. Cool right here. The saw blade turns a little bit. So that's kind of cool. But let's go through the detail on that. So there's the saw blade. And it's got some like weathered marks right here where it looks like it might be a little old or a little used, which is always cool. Even in the metal pole, there's some of that oldness to it, weathered look. It's got a handle right here, of course, to hold on to, the trigger to rev it up, and the engine back here. And just the engine, I just take a second to appreciate this like lawnmower engine, because this looks really good. I'm telling you, all the little, whatever it is, the parts, there's such good detail on this. And you can see how they weathered it up a little bit. So I just really appreciate this, and this blade right here is probably one of my favorite weapons that Jason used in any of the movies. I think it's just awesome. Who knows what this is used for in real life? If people have a tool like this, I don't know why you would need it, but who am I to judge? Moving right along, we got a couple alternate hands here. These, of course, are alternate Jason Voorhees hands. This would be his left hand. This is his right hand. And they're just holding. So you can have him probably hold on to that weapon that we were just talking about, the wood cutter or maybe even the brush cutter, something that he needs both hands closed around. But you can see the detail right there on the gnarly looking, bony, flesh rotted hands. And NECA always does a good job with their hand sculptures, or hand sculpts, excuse me. So I think this is no exception right here. And last, let's go ahead and talk about these two at the same time. We'll talk about the mask more in a second, but this is a broken hockey mask. And if you've seen Friday the 13th Part 7, you know that Tina squeezes this mask and it kind of breaks open and actually comes off of him. And then we're left looking at Jason's. I mean, this face is gnarly. I love it. He's got his mouth open with his janky teeth. His nose is all messed up. His head's just ruined. You do got a couple of scars right there, kind of in homage to the previous movies where he got sliced in the head a couple times. I believe this was part 3, and then this is part 4. Both of the wounds that did him in those movies. Of course, he's back. And then you have this rotted away jaw that you can see the side of his mouth. You can see those teeth. Just the cheek has just rotted away, which is just so awesome. Anyway, you can put the mask, of course, onto this and kind of pose him with that mask on. I, of course, can't do it because I don't know what I'm doing, but you could have him kind of somewhat like that. Okay, future Brett here. I just wanted to cut in because I couldn't get the mask on when I was doing my review, but upon showing this figure to my wife, she noticed that there was a hole in the back of this alternate Jason head that this peg in the mask, this busted apart mask, sticks into. So that's how you get the mask to stay on Jason's head. Just like that. Stick that peg into that hole, and then the mask stays on. Easy peasy, just like that. Much like with everything in life, when in doubt, ask your wife. Now back to the review. So that looks cool. All right, let's move on to the figure. Talked enough about this. I just have the figure up on a stand here. As you can see, he's not standing too well. He's a little top heavy, but looks good. I would just have to get the balance down. I didn't really think about it too much. Or try too much, so it's not the fault of the figure, more user error. Let's go ahead and go through the articulation first before we get into the details. The head moves on a ball joint from side to side, up and down. It tilts back and forth. We have these shoulders that are on a ball joint. They move in and out. This is a little bit of this is a new figure, so it's a little bit tight, but they move back and forth like that. We have this joint in the elbow, which bends, and then it's got a double joint right there too, so he can bend even more. Not just at a 90-degree angle, he can go up further, which is always really cool. This also turns, so you have that forearm turn as well, and then his hand turns. Doesn't really go in and out so much, but it does turn back and forth. It is supposed to go in and out, but must be a little tight on that joint right there. Let's see the waist. Oh, he does turn. He's got a joint, looks like up here at the chest, that allows him to turn. And he doesn't have one at the waist. His waist is exposed right there, and I don't see any joint that turns right there, but he does have his hip joints, which cause his legs to bend, so he can bend down. And these also bend out to the side. And there's his knees. And they, of course, bend. Again, tight. And then his leg can turn in and out, and the foot can go up and down and kind of left to right. At least at the knee, it can go left to right. So that's it for both sides there. Now let's talk about the detail, because that's what's the most important thing. First and foremost thing that I notice is the chain around his neck. And the reason why I notice that is because I have my Part 6 figure with the Crystal Lake accessory set that has him hanging from the chain, floating, I guess, would be the better way to put it, from the chain. And this just kind of leads right into that. This is a continuation of part 6, where he's got the chain around his neck and he's busted out of the lake. So I'll insert a picture of that into here so you can see what my part 6 figure looks like. But anyway, that's the first thing I noticed. The next thing I noticed is this mask. And the reason why I noticed the mask is because A, the mask looks really good. And B, we have this kind of beat up side right here, this chunk missing. This is also a nod to part 6 in part 7, because the propeller from the boat chopped up Jason's mask when Tommy left him for dead and was leaving. So that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. The other things I noticed right away is just the ratty clothes on the figure. It's just awesome. Just how just ratty the clothes are, and the detail to the skin below. And I'll give you some close-ups of that in a second, but just take a second to appreciate all the detail in the body below. A lot of times these figures are covered up with clothes, so we don't have to see the body. This one has the clothes, but they're basically, for all intents and purposes, they're just hanging from Jason. And the figure is actually the body below. So that's really cool. A really unique thing about this figure. The backside, look at that. That spine. Just each vertebrae. We'll get a close-up of that. Each vertebrae that you can see, just straight out of the movie. The shoulder blade. I remember seeing this movie when I was young and just thinking Jason was such a badass. It was awesome. The other thing too is the kneecaps. You can see the knees, the bones just sticking right through there. He looks great. Let's get a close-up of the face here, of the head. We'll take the mask off in just a second, but there you can see the mask on there. And then if we lift it up, take it off, we see just that gnarly face again. This is a better, I like this face sculpt, I think, better than the other one. Not that they're too much different. I just like it with the mouth closed like that. And then you can see, that's what I was talking about earlier, the jaw. Just rotted away, ripped apart. That face is just something else. Put the mask back on. The clothes are made of a soft rubber material, so they're very flexible, as you can see right in here. They're very bendy, if you will. Now, not all the places. So like right here, which is representative of the clothes, this is hard plastic, but the soft goods are the stuff that's covering kind of, or the soft rubber, excuse me, is the stuff that's covering the flesh more. We got his arms. You can see the details in the hands. These are, of course, the more open hands. And on the left side. And then there's his chest with his ribs poking through. And then down to his legs. And we can see just the detail in those, in the thighs, the muscles, and the skin, the rotted flesh. Down to the knees like we saw before, and then down to the boots. His boots still look pretty good. I mean, I don't know what kind of boots these are, but they hold up underwater. On the back side here, again, you can see that calf muscle just kind of exposed right there, that rotted flesh, and more scars. And then the piece de resistance, as far as I'm concerned, is the back right here. It's awesome. This is probably one of my favorite Jason figures that NECA has released. I'm so glad they finally were able to do so. There is a lawsuit going on right now with Friday the 13th. So unfortunately, they're unable to, I think, release anything more until that lawsuit has been settled. But this was in the works already. So part of it was, hey, we need to release what we already have in the pipe. And so they were allowed to. Why don't we go ahead and get this thing posed, and then I'll come back with my final thoughts. All right, I got the figure set up how I'm probably going to have him posed in my cabinet, and I just think it looks great. I know I already said this before, but I think this is probably one of my favorite representations of Jason Voorhees. Definitely is so just iconic. The look of Jason, the extreme weapon of impending doom that he's going to unleash on Terry Kaiser, actually. But it just looks awesome. So I'm going to give this, of course, 5 out of 5 Pamela Voorhees heads. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, or thoughts on this figure, why don't you go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. And I know I haven't been doing a lot of videos lately. We've been busy with the podcast, with work, with life, with everything. Actually haven't gotten a lot of new figures. I have a bunch of old figures that I still need to review. I have some Puppet Master figures. I have the Frankenstein figures. I have some It figures, Annabelle, Gremlins, you name it. I got some old old McFarlane figures from the movie The Thing that I want to do a review on. I even have a couple of Gremlins, and those figures all haven't been opened yet. They haven't been put on display here in the room. And I did redo the room here, so I will do a video on that soon as well. But if there's anything specifically that you would like me to review next, go ahead and leave a comment down below. And as always, if you haven't yet subscribed and you feel so inclined, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell below. We are the Swearwolves Horror Podcast. We do a weekly show in which we review horror movies. So if you like podcasts, if you like horror movies, if you like to just listen to a couple of dudes talk nonsense most of the time, you don't even have to like the horror movies. Just check us out. You can search for the Swearwolves wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or you can go to our website, which is theswearwolves.com. So for the Swearwolves, I'm Brett. Hi, this is Brett with the Swearwolves. When I'm not editing videos or creating content for YouTube, I just sit here and wait and wait. If you like the video that you just saw, go ahead and click that button right there. And if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and click that other button right there. I'll wait.